When it comes to talking about index universal life or whole life insurance on the internet, on social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, there's a lot of debate between which is better, whole life or index universal life. Now, for the context of this, we're typically talking about cash value accumulation and utilizing as either kind of tax-free income in retirement or utilizing it for other investments, for business, for real estate, for things of that nature. In this video, I'm going to talk about the one and most important element to consider when you're debating between index universal life and whole life insurance. And this really just comes down to common sense. So I think once you get into this and you think about it from this common sense angle, it's going to be a no-brainer decision. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified every time I launch a new video. I do videos like this every single day. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and you can see I am here trying to make this whole environment work here down in the Dominican Republic. I'm down here working on a real estate project and trying to keep the content game going. And as I'm having conversations, I'm working, I'm being fully engaged, having conversations with clients, doing all this stuff still, working in this using Starlink. God bless Elon Musk for creating Starlink and making this all available for us, right? So here's the deal though. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and in that conversation, this topic came out, and they were talking about and asking, like, Chris, why not index universal life? Why would I go with whole life insurance versus index universal life insurance? Because when I look at the IUL illustrations, the IUL illustrations perform so well. And the whole life insurance illustrations are good, they're decent, but when you compare them side by side, IUL wins every single time, hands down, no questions asked. And the reality is that's true. Now, I have a lot of videos talking about the kind of numbers and the moving parts behind the scenes, and I have a whole playlist. I'll put the playlist up here if you want to go check it out. I would encourage you to do this. I'm actually going to involve this video on that playlist. I'll add it to it. If you want to continue that journey, you can actually watch that. If you really want to learn about index universal life, check that playlist out. But for this video, what I want to do is not get into all the numbers and the actual nuanced details of the behind the scenes parts of all the elements of an IUL that I'm not a big fan of. I don't want to get into the details and nuances of whole life insurance even. I want to take a step back and think about this commonsensically and think about it away from insurance and think about this through the perspective of a contract. And let me just put it to you like this. If I were to ask you, let's say you were to start a business. Let's say you were interested in launching a business and you had a business partner. And with that business partner, you knew, at least you should do this, you know going into this business relationship that you're going to have a contract. And in that contract, you are going to have to come up with terms for what the terms of the contract are, what the long-term responsibilities, where the long-term obligations are, what the long-term kind of elements and expectations of this relationship are going to look like. Who's going to run this business? What are the expectations? What are the financial obligations? What are the time and the equity that you got to put into the business? What does that look like, right? Obviously every business is a little different, but when it comes to life insurance, it's no different. Remember, whole life insurance has been around for 180 years, and it's got a track record of success with these participating mutual companies. A lot of people selling IUL try to borrow. One thing that drives me nuts, to just get on my soapbox for a second, is all these IUL agents talking about how Walt Disney and JCPenney and Ray Kroc all used life insurance to help their businesses. That is true, but they used whole life insurance. Back when they did that, index universal life insurance didn't even exist. So it's a bit of a smoke and mirrors game on the IUL people that are marketing this IUL stuff as if these people use that tool when they didn't use that tool at all. And they try to position it like it's basically, IUL is basically the same thing as whole life, but it's not, because it doesn't have the same foundational understanding. And here's why. So let me start here. Here's the bottom line. When it comes to whole life insurance and index universal life, we have to be thinking about it through the terms, through the lens of a business owner, through the terms of contract law and how that contract law is going to impact us, right? What side of that contract are we on? Obviously, a good contract always in every situation is going to have a give and take on both sides of the arrangement, right? It is what it is. Now, with whole life insurance versus IUL, I want, it's a bit of a different animal. And so I want to lay out two terms for you. Let's say you were starting a business, and let's say you had the opportunity to go in, and in that business, you could sign a contract, and this contract said, all right, when you set up this contract, whatever the terms are all here, and in this contract, as soon as you sign on the dotted line, all the rights and all of the benefits and all of the guarantees and all of everything that's positive in this contract favors you. And the other party, your business partner, is responsible to meet those obligations as long as you fulfill your duties, as long as you fulfill your end of the bargain in the business, right? Like imagine that business contract is there, and you say, all right, I'm starting this business, I've got this contract, and this contract lays out and says, all right, as long as I do my job, as long as I show up, and as long as I perform, as long as I do what's required of me, I've got all these protections in place that my business my business partner can't change the terms of anything on me. They can't change. They can't charge me more. They can't take equity. They can't do all these things. I'm protected. Now, on the other side, you have another contract, and you have these two contracts that you got to choose from for your business. On the other side of the terms, you have a contract that says, as soon as you sign on the dotted line, it may look better right now. There may be a little bit more upside. You may have the opportunity, quote unquote, to make a little bit more money in the business. You may have the opportunity to squeak out a little bit more equity in the business if you work hard. However, at the same time, even though on paper it says that you have that opportunity to earn more equity, on the other end of the spectrum, the fine print of this contract, the fine print of this business contract says that no matter what, you are not in responsibility. When you sign on the dotted line, your business partner has complete legal rights to change the terms of that contract, to change your equity, to change your payouts, to change all of the ways that this internal operations of this business works. Well, I got news for you. Those two differences are the difference between whole life insurance, where as soon as you sign on the dotted line, all the obligations and responsibilities are on the insurance company, and all the benefits and guarantees are to you. As long as you pay your premium every year, or every month, or whatever your premium schedule is set up to be, as long as you make that premium payment, you are covered, right? The life insurance company is responsible to meet those guarantees and to meet their obligations to you. With an IUL contract, that's not the case. As soon as you sign on that dotted line, you're basically saying like, all right, this contract is here, it is what it is right now, and I understand it's an illustration, and it could perform that way. But realistically speaking, they've never performed that way because the insurance companies have the legal right and opportunity to change the terms of the contract to their favor. And now I want to take a step back, because a lot of people are going to say, well, Chris, insurance companies aren't going to do that. They're not going to just stick it to the clients. I'm not saying that that's what this is about. I'm not saying the life insurance company is trying to scam their clients by selling them IUL. I am saying that they are intentionally manipulative when it comes to the illustrations and making it so they're overly inflated and that they're not going to perform that way. You can look at use common sense. Once again, there's another kind of common sense point, but you can look at all the regulation law changes with AG 49, AG 49A, and now AG 49, I guess 1 or AG 49B, depending on who you're talking to. But they keep updating this regulation, and this regulation impacts illustration law. This regulation impacts how insurance companies are able to illustrate to show what kind of quote unquote potential future returns there will be in this policy. Now, the problem with this is, as soon as regulation update comes in, IUL companies are constantly trying to get around that regulation and come up with new ways to kind of skirt around the system to make the illustrations look better than they are. This is a big problem. There's a guy named Bobby Samuelson who's amazing at creating content, and he's just a brilliant mind, and he educates people on how this stuff really works. I would encourage everybody to go check out lifeproductreview.com. It's a great blog. It's $100 a month. I get nothing, by the way, for encouraging you to go there, except for the fact that I think everybody would be better educated and be able to make a more informed decision for consuming his content. I'm a huge fan and believer in Bobby's work, so that's the only reason I share his stuff. Here's the deal. when we look at this and we understand that the companies are doing this, that they're working on these workarounds of illustration laws, and they're basically implicit in the problems. I think most agents out there that are trying to sell are doing it from a place of trying to serve their clients. They just don't know what they don't know. When you get behind the scenes and you see the companies that are trying to get around these laws, and you see the facts are these contracts are what they are. The insurance company has the ability to change them. They are market driven. They are market dependent. The life insurance company isn't trying necessarily to change the fees and the cap rates and the participation rates and the cost of insurance and all that stuff just to make more money and just to stick it to you, the policyholder. That's not the purpose. A lot of times the market environment changes and they have to just to not lose money. A lot of times, and sometimes they are changing it. I mean, there's been lawsuits of companies that have been unnecessarily increasing cost of insurance, and they've done that, and they've gotten in trouble for it, right? Like that is what it is. Like there's been a lot of that have happened in the IUL space. The more time goes on, the more we see that these things haven't performed. If they're policies that are designed to give you upside potential and downside protection, which is the number one way that they're sold for tax-free retirement income, if that is the purpose, well, we just came through the greatest bull run of all time, so they should have performed. You should have had upside in that time. That's why I created the IULchallenge. Everybody's like, Chris, if you got the IULchallenge, you should have the whole life challenge. Well, guess what? Whole life insurance is not sold on upside potential. Think about that. IUL is sold on upside potential because of participation in the market. If we just came through the market with the greatest bull run of all time, you should have had some upside potential. It's been over a year now. Not one person has been able to win the IULchallenge. I'm willing to pay somebody $2,000 if you have a policy that wins the IULchallenge. I would encourage you to check out the videos explaining what that is if you think you're an agent or if you have a policy. And furthermore, if you have a policy that you want to review, we're happy to look at it. You can go to rescuemyiul.com, and I'll put the link down in the description below. You can check that out and we'll help you out. We'll take a look, or you can email Chris at Life180. I'll have my team look at your policy, give it a review, and we're actually doing a contest to try to save somebody, and we're giving $1,000 to the person that has the worst IUL, because that's ultimately what I'm seeing more of than anything else, is just these really horrible IULs that people are stuck in, they can't get out of, and ultimately it's just a travesty, in my opinion, that people are getting into these products. They don't understand what they are. They're highly complicated tools, IULs are. They are highly complicated tools that are sold as these simplistic, kind of simplified products that are safe. And the reality is they're not. And I always tell people they're the most misrepresented financial product on the face of the earth, and this is why. So, once again, it just comes down to this contract law conversation. If that makes sense. When I was talking to somebody the other day, it was like, wow, when you really break it down like that, there's not a person alive looking at these two business relationships that would say, yeah, I'm going to get into this business where as soon as I sign on the dotted line, that company is going to be able to, or that my business partner is going to be able to change all the terms to their favor, and I'm going to be potentially left out in the cold. I'm going to take the one where all the terms of the contract favor me once I sign on the dotted line, as long as I meet my obligations to that contract as well, right? And so to me, that's a no-brainer situation. All the other nuances, all the other semantics is just noise, and that is the most important part. We always talk about control, and control of the contract and the terms of that contract is one of the most important things for this policy to do what you want it to do, what you need it to do for you, your life, your business, if your real estate portfolio, any of that stuff. So that's it. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you're notified. Hopefully you found value in this. If you did, like it, share it, get it out there to people. Appreciate you being here. I really am honored if you watched it to this point in time. I don't take this stuff lightly. I try to create this content to be able to serve people. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me something, some kind of pound trophy, whatever it is, in the comment section below so I know you're here. Would really appreciate you. The likes, the comments really help the algorithm. That's it for now. Till next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.